Hello and welcome to ABP Live. I have with me today Dr. Vivek Lal. He is the Chief Executive of General Atomics Global Corporation. Thank you so much for talking to us, Dr. Lal, and giving us your time.
Thank you.
So to begin with, let me just understand that, although India and US are in talks at a G2G level to acquire the weaponized drones manufactured by General Atomics, but how key is that in today's scenario, right, with the geopolitical tensions going on, India transforming its foreign policy, its defense in a certain way, and looking at more at maritime security, and the fact that India is now doing more of joint exercises with the US, how key it is that India and Indian armed forces own or understand weaponized drones?
Yeah, so that's a great question. As you look at the geopolitics around the world, I think what's very important to realize is that intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance is going to be key, and the ability to understand the environment is, of course, extremely important. And so, for example, we have those two unmanned systems that are with the Navy, Indian Navy. They have found great use for those, not only in the maritime regions, but in other regions as well. And again, the more intelligence you have, the more prepared you are, and the more you can react. And the ability to react, of course, is with the weapons, so that you're not, there's no time lag, so to speak.
In this ongoing Russia Ukraine war, which is probably going to complete a year this month, we've seen increased role of drones, right? So, do you feel that drones, weaponized drones, are going to be the thing, the decisive sort of factor in future warfare?
Yes, I think if you look at warfare in general, it's evolved and evolving. I think unmanned systems and uncrewed systems, if you will, is going to be more and more dominant. You have digital intelligence, broadly speaking, that will, and artificial intelligence that will broadly take over the scenario in terms of conflict. And so I think you'll continue to see increased use of uncrewed systems around the world.
And also coming to the deal that India is having, probably going to have with the US. I understand you once telling the media that it is in advanced stages. What is it that how soon we can expect that deal to be closed?
Yeah, as you know, it is a government to government foreign military sale that has been under discussion for several years. And I think it's up to both the governments to progress that to its logical conclusion. And so I'd leave it at that.
Sure, but would you also you are offering it for all the services, right? The Navy, the Army, and also the Air Force. How will it be significant for all of them?
It is an excellent question that you ask, because the ability of all three services to share that common platform allows for a lot of synergies. And I think that not only synergies in terms of just the type of platform and the spare parts and the trail that you need to support it, but also in terms of jointness of operations. And so the ability of all three services to jointly operate these aircraft is a very significant move forward in terms of the concept of operations as well.
Also, Dr. Lal, talking about the initiative that India and US launched recently, NSA Doval was also in the US launching the initiative on critical technologies and emerging technology. The focus was more on artificial intelligence and things like that. How key you think that will be in India-US defense partnership? Because as of now, the information is quite, I would say, people are not much aware as to how big or significant this is going to be.
I really applaud both the Indian government and the US government for this initiative, the ICIT initiative. I was very fortunate to be part of some of the discussions in Washington, D.C. recently, where both NSA Doval as well as NSA Sullivan announced this. This is, I think, going to be a game changer because you get down to fundamental technologies, fundamental areas that where both governments can cooperate and leapfrog present day technologies, whether it's in artificial intelligence, whether it's in semiconductors, and so forth. And so I think it is a great initiative. I think it's one that is inclusive of the private sectors, and I think that in itself makes a lot of difference because you do have private sectors from both countries engaged in this discussion.
Also, you rightly said, and we just recently also noticed that U.S. Embassy officials were there at the Indian Navy station, from where they're running the two drones that have been leased from you. What is the feedback you got from the Navy? How is it operating? Do they say that yes, this was much needed platform that we needed?
Yes, I mean, the feedback from the Navy and the customers has been extremely positive. I think it's been now 2 years, 10,000 flight hours on a whole range of missions that the Navy has obviously flown with these aircraft. And the feedback that we get is they're extremely pleased with the mission purpose and what it has achieved in terms of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance.
That's interesting. And also, if I can ask you from the Indian perspective, Dr. Lal, is that India, as you know, is now facing increasingly military belligerence from Chinese side. India and China are engaged at, at the line of actual control in a very bitter border skirmish. Now, whenever whenever India buys those drones, it will definitely be deployed at the LSE, right, where the temperatures can go severely low. Will your drones be able to operate at those heights in those kind of temperature?
Yeah, our unmanned systems have been very effective at not only different, it's a high altitude,
Right.
obviously, system, but in different temperatures, in different climates, including the north in Canada, for example, and in those regions. So I think from a performance standpoint, they are very robust and built. Airframes and the gear that goes on them for any weather condition.
Okay. And when we say that this is a weaponized drone, what do we mean by that? I mean, will it be able to target a specific, location, or how does it that work? If you can tell our viewers.
Yeah, so you can have a non-weaponized drone, which would fundamentally be for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. However, then you can have an armable drone, which means you have the hard points, but you
Okay.
don't have the weapons on it. And the final configuration, if you will, is you actually have it loaded with the weapons. So that allows you to, if required, to engage enemy target. If based on the ISR you collect, there is a decision made that something has to be taken out real time. So it's got that deep penetration strike capability, which of course is very valuable depending on what the situation is, whether it's contested or not. And so that ability is key in certain instances.
So you have basically missiles fitted in the drones, right?
That's right. You have weapon systems that are attached to the underbody of the aircraft.
And you can hit a specific target as
That's
the
right.
program would be. That's interesting. And also, um, in this market of drones, which is very new, at least to India, uh, is General Atomics the leader in it? Do you have competition from others?
Yeah, we are the worldwide leader in this military unmanned system technology, and have been there long before this talk about drones came into fashion here in the last few years. So we've been doing it for a long time. We have over now 8 million flight hours of experience in various configurations. So yes, I would say we are the world leader in this technology, and based on our programs and future investments, we are always improving and continuously improving on the technology levels.
And do you think it is high time for India to really go for these kind of drones? In which all market also, you've sold your weaponized drones. And do you think with modern warfare changing, this is high time that India should have it?
I do think so. I think it is from a operational standpoint, from a capability standpoint against your adversary, from a cost standpoint, because remember when you're uncrewed, the operational cost is about a sixth of a manned, let us say, ISR platform. So that is a huge, huge. As they say, your initial procurement cost is only a small fraction of the overall operating cost. Now, when you have unmanned systems, they cost so much less than a manned system that if you look at just the economics of it and the fact that you can have an unmanned system stay up there for such long periods of time, that's why it's the high altitude but long endurance. You don't have to keep coming back and you can stay on station for very, very long periods of time. All that put together makes it, I think, imperative for having that edge over your adversary.
That's interesting. And my last question to you, Dr. Lal, would be now that India and US have really, put their heads together, I would say, at the ISET kind of initiative after President Biden and PM Modi launched it last May. How companies like yours would want ISET to really take off, and how will that boost the business aspect of it?
Yeah, I can give you a specific example. We are in partnership with an artificial intelligence company as well as a semiconductor company in
Right.
India. And we find that the technology levels that are available and the skill that's available, as many say, not only the talent but the skill and the desire, the ambition of Indian companies, whether large, small, or even startup, is there, and the capabilities are world class. So when we partner with these companies, I think in a focused manner under a certain framework that is blessed by both governments. And why are governments important? Because of the regulatory aspects, because of the export control
Right.
aspects. And you bring all these elements together, then you have the makings of a very robust program that can always seek to leapfrog any adversary technologies that are out there that, India and US, that relationship is, I think, the relationship of the century. And when you put technology companies together to work on these real-time problems, there's nothing we can't solve together.
Good you say that, because I also remember Defense Minister Rajnath Singh talking about the fact that how it will look, India will now focus more aggressively on the Make in India aspect. So let me ask you one question on that. You as General Atomics, you're also tying up with several Indian defense startups. Would you like to share some aspects on that?
Yeah, so we recently made some announcements. On the manufacturing side, we made an announcement with Bharat Forge.
Yes.
And, on artificial intelligence side, 114 AI is one of the startup companies. And on the semiconductor side, it's Third Eye Tech, which is one of the IDEX winners here in India. So these are some of the types of companies we are partnering with. We'll be announcing more partnerships here in the near future. But I think the whole ecosystem as a whole, whether it's large, medium, or small companies, they have a lot to offer. I think the amount of innovation, the amount of R&D that's going in is ratcheted up over the years that I've seen. And that will be the key. In my opinion, investment in R&D and investment in innovation is going to set apart the Indian companies from companies around the world. And so I think there's great synergy in the way we approach business, as well as some of the thought process of these Indian companies are. So it'll make for good products that eventually will be co-developed, co-produced for the world.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ralph, for sharing those thoughts with us.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Vivek Lal, Chief Executive of General Atomics Global Corporation. For ABP Live, this is Nayanima Basu.